Welcome to the campus of Trinity University as we're all set for a midweek game between the University of McMurry and Trinity University. As Carpenter is set to lead things off against the Tiger pitcher, Michael Boki, and he gets hit in the lower leg. So Carpenter will head to first base on the first pitch of the game.
Yeah, and realistically what we have grown accustomed to in these Michael Boki outings and innings, Cole, but a little bit sooner than either of us expected probably. Right off the bat here in San Antonio, base runner to deal with because of the hit by pitch, which has plagued Boki all season long.
First pitch in for strike one. Boki, now a regular midweek starter for the Tigers, his last appearance coming just a week ago. Squares up to bump, but pulls it back for ball one.
And you cite regular midweek starter. For a period of time, he was there in the weekend rotation, but some jostling among those starting pitchers in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday games.
Bunt gets down. It's a good one. Boki out to field. It does so in time, but the sacrifice is complete. Runner heads to second, one down in the inning.
And, of course, we've already alluded to the issues that he's dealt with this season when it comes to hitting batters. But realistically, outside of that, he has been quite impressive on the mound, whether it's been in weekend starts or been in the last couple of outings during midweek games. Still a very, very impressive arm in this Trinity rotation, and someone that they want to get a lot of innings and want to get starts, because when it comes to the postseason, you're not necessarily looking at 3-game weekends. That's probably the ideal, but it's not always going to be the case.
Now the 3-hole hitter working with a runner in scoring position. It's Riley Hood. Takes that outside for ball two. The sophomore from Abilene, Texas. Of course, where the University of McMurry is, playing in his home city. Over 30 starts on the year for Hood. And he takes strike one.
Yeah, but pretty gaudy numbers for Hood, Cole. 427 on the year. I mean, he just puts the ball in play is what it seems like. You look at these stats, the slugging percentage isn't off the charts for someone that has hit the ball and put it in play fairly so frequently.
Fouled back near us, and it makes it 2-2.
Just one home run on the year, so it doesn't feel like that's the threat in this at-bat, but already with a scoring position, or runner in scoring position, I should say, and team leader in RBI, a dangerous spot.
Swing and a miss. Foul tip into the catcher's glove. That's strike three, the first strikeout of the game for Michael Boki.
Yeah, and you're really seeing the duality of Boki right there. First pitch of the game, hits a batter in the foot, and then comes back and against a guy swinging 427 on the year, blows a fastball right by him.
So all of a sudden, 2 down in the inning. McMurry trying not to squander this opportunity as Smosa has to duck out of the way of that one. One-0 pitch. High 2-0.
Yeah, and a couple of consecutive batters that Boki's fallen behind and in a dangerous spot. 3- and 4-hole hitters with a runner in scoring position. Certainly has to be careful here.
Runner goes. Throw to third, not in time. Oh, came off the bag. And the tag applied for out number 3 to end the inning. So a weird way to get out of it for Trinity, but they do. 0-0 as the Tigers will come up to bat when we come back. Bottom of the first in San Antonio, Texas, and on the mound for the Warhawks, it's Cooper Marshall, the sophomore, making his 7th appearance of the year, comes in with an 0-2 record, ERA of 11.45, but an opportunity to lower it here against the leadoff man for Trinity, Jack Peterson. Swing and a miss, strike one. Marshall's last appearance was on April 2nd against the University of Dallas. He threw 1 inning, walked 2, allowed 4 runs, but only 1 of them was earned. Now the 1-1 pitch. Just misses 2-1.
Yeah, not an awful idea right there from Marshall. Looked like he took a little bit of something off of that pitch. Tried to get the backdoor breaking ball to fall in the zone.
Hit in the air sky high, playable, and the catch made for out number 1 as Peterson is retired.
And Peterson just ultimately winding up underneath that baseball. But a good approach from Cooper Marshall right there. A couple of consecutive pitches that he tried to put on the outside part of the plate. Of course, that backdoor breaking ball misses just a little bit, but that one enticing enough to get Peterson to swing. Just can't drive it the other direction. That's out number 1 for McMurry.
First pitch to Woodward, in for strike 1. Caleb Woodward, the first year, who's worked his way into the starting lineup pretty consistently. Works with 1 out and nobody on. In the dirt, 1-1.
And of course, no offense to Caleb Woodward, he might not look like it, but this is a guy that is, pretty close to being a 5-tool type of player at this level. Already we've seen him hit for power. He's shown off speed on the base paths and in the field as well. Haven't seen the arm a ton, but this is a guy that pretty much has everything in his toolbox that you would want to see, and in the very early going, he's showing it off.
Hits it into left, and it's down for a base knock. Gets by the left fielder to the wall. Woodward digs in for 2. He's there easily. A 1-out double for the first year.
And he's just looked better and better as this year has gone along, and he wasn't a staple in the first portion of the season, but he slowly has just worked his way really into the coach's favor. He came in, he did the really small things very, very well. We saw him bunt exceptionally well, and with the speed that you just saw right there, he got to second and rounded in a flash. I think that he's made himself a staple.
He waits on second base as the catcher Nick Lazara up for the first time today. In the dirt, 1-0. Working with 1 out and a runner on second. McMurray was in a similar situation just a frame ago. Unable to score. We'll see if anything's different for Trinity. Strike called, inside edge.
Yeah, a really good spot to dot the fastball down and in on the hands of Lazara. Not much you can do with that pitch right there unless you're way out in front of it.
One, fouled off to make it 1-2. Tigers rolling with a pretty similar top 3 to what they usually would have. Peterson, Woodward, followed by Lazara. Pretty normal in a weekend series, doing the same thing in a midweek. Lazara in a 1-2 hole. Outside, 2-2.
And realistically, Peterson, that leadoff spot, it's been a little bit of a revolving door. They've tried some different names there, but these two guys on the field in the white jerseys right now, great weekend. Finished that series against Austin College really, really strong. At one point, they were both 3 for 3 in the 2 and 3 holes.
Fouled off, a 2-strike pitch, and he'll see another.
Realistically, it feels like that's what this team has largely needed, is anyone realistically to just contribute with some more consistency. Now Lazara hitting nearly 370 on this season. Woodward hasn't been in the lineup as frequently, but he's over 310 as well.
Outside, full count. We talk about the consistency of this starting lineup and the fact that they've just gotten hot. Lazara's batting average not nearly what it was now just 2 weeks ago, hovering a little below or around the 300 mark, now surging to that 370. As he's in a full count situation, ball high, and he'll head to first base. 2 aboard for the maroon and white.
And just what a superb at-bat from Lazara right there. Falling behind 1-2 in that count. Certainly treated with care by Marshall on the mound. He's a guy that can hurt you. And you certainly don't want to make a mistake when you're ahead in a count 1-2. That walk doesn't hurt as much considering the fact that the base was open behind Woodward.
So now the senior Colt Harris takes strike 1 on the outside edge. Harris, the regular second baseman for the Tigers, there again today. Working in a situation to give Trinity the lead. Ball inside, 1-1. Luke, an opportunity with runners in scoring position. That's something that they were okay at last weekend, but there were opportunities left on the table against an Austin College team that hasn't had a very good year so far.
Yeah, it seems realistically, Cole, like it is stretched beyond just that weekend. There have been a lot of runners left on base all season long.
Hit to shallow center. It'll fall. 1 run's coming around. It's Woodward. He scores easily, and it's 1-0 Tigers. An RBI single for Colt Harris.
Yeah, not a particularly hard hit ball off the bat. This one stays in pretty shallow center field. Charging for McMurray out there was Coy Carpenter, and realistically, the way this one hung up, it created an awkward extra bounce in there where it got in kind of in his midsection, just couldn't throw all the way through to home base. Very strong right there. And on top of that, when you have Caleb Woodward on the base paths, it's not going to be very easy to throw that guy out.
So now the DH, Alex Monson, up hitting 370 on his season. Works with runners at the corners, and he takes ball 1. So important to start fast, especially in these midweek games. Better part of 2 years, the Tigers have struggled quite a bit. Getting their first Tuesday victory in almost 2 full calendar years last week against Concordia. Trying to make it 2 in a row as Monson takes that inside for ball 2.
Yeah, and a couple of consecutive midweek calls for us here on Tiger Network. Didn't have that series against Austin College at home. But some pretty stark contrast between the lineup one game versus the next. There were a lot of substitutes, a lot of guys that aren't in this lineup every day just 1 week ago against Concordia. Now this is mostly the staples in this lineup, and it feels like this is a team at a point in their season where they really need to get the offense going with some sort of consistency.
Pitching seems to have found its groove to some degree. We talked about the ERA last week, was around 8 to start the year, giving up over 30 runs in 2 days. University of Wisconsin Whitewater. But since then, it's fallen, hovering around 4.5 now.
Yeah, and that's the entire staff. That includes some guys that got innings against Wisconsin Whitewater, very early portion of the year in a 4-game series. Guys that haven't thrown with as much frequency at this part of the season once they've gotten into conference play. There's another stat, another calculation I did this weekend when they were at Austin College. There are a group of guys, right, the weekend starters and the relievers that come in with some sort of regularity who have pulled away from the rest of the pack. That group of about 7 arms has a sub-2 ERA as a squad.
Rip to right, 1 run will score. Harris headed to third, the throw cut off. They'll throw to second instead, and Monson's tagged out. So Alex Monson, thinking the throw was going to third, thinks, hey, I'll take second, but to no avail. 2 outs on the board for McMurray, runner still on third.
Yeah, I mean, the first part of this play is exactly what you want to see from Alex Monson. He continues to swing it incredibly well. He's used the entire field, this time going to his pull side. I think you're right, Cole. Maybe got a little bit of ahead of himself right there, assuming that this ball was going to go all the way through to third base. Realistically, just a great job by Blake Beach out there at short. Heads up, recognizing that Monson rounded first base hard, and he understood he'd have an opportunity for an out at second. And it was the second for McMurray here in the bottom of the first.
The run scores. It's now 2-0 Tigers as Brett Jones works with a runner on third. As Jones works ahead 3-0. Sorry about that, folks. I had to get my paper. It blew away. 2 outs on the board still. And there's strike 1. You know, look, it's funny. The wind was not really an issue before we started. The second we go on air, it feels like it kicked up. And it was almost at the expense of my paper. I was able to hunt it down, though.
Yeah, I mean, we are already in a tough spot, considering the fact that we're on top of the Bell Center. We're just fully exposed up here, elevated, and really no protection courtesy of any building whatsoever. You know, it's been quite the fiasco trying to just keep everything in order.
Swing and a miss, strike 3, as that'll end the first inning. But the Tigers get 2 runs on the board. They lead 2-0, and I have my paper as we head to the top of the second on Tiger Network. Back for the top of the second on Tiger Network. Tyler Smosna set to lead things off for McMurray as he takes ball 1 for Michael Bokey, who is now working with a 2-run lead. Offense getting going in the first. Bokey behind 1-0 and make it 2-0. Bokey working around a leadoff hit by pitch in the top of the first. Trying to avoid a leadoff base runner this time. Strike called.
Yeah, a 2-0 count against the 4-hole hitter right here for McMurray. Great pitch. Just goes to that breaking ball to get him over. It goes right back to it a second time in a row. Certainly, just from physical appearance, looks like a guy at the plate that can do some damage in a 2-0 count, but Bokey just freezes him with back-to-back breaking balls.
Michael Smosna, the sophomore from Lubbock, Texas, swings over that one And he'll head back to the dugout with out number 1, another strikeout for Michael Boki on the day.
Yeah, and certainly has to feel good getting back out onto the mound here in the second frame with a little bit of run support. 2 early runs, not something that this Trinity offense has been doing very frequently, especially in the last couple of weeks.
Hit in the air, deep to right field, and it's gone. Josh Dyer, a solo shot to half the deficit. He'll round the bases, and it's 2-1 as McMurry battles back.
Yeah, this was a major league home run. This one, he got out way ahead of this baseball and drove it way out of the park here in San Antonio. Outfielders maybe took a step. You can see it on the replay right there. Giving up on it rather quickly out in right field was Max Milligan. That one off the bat was just a rocket.
Grounder to Baker at short. Throw to first in time for out number 2. But Josh Dyer, that's his 3rd home run of the year. Working in the DH spot and doing his job. He's in there to produce offensively, and he does so with a big blast.
Yeah, that was a moonshot. Realistically, that one, from our perspective, cleared the netting that is protecting foul territory. And, I mean, he hit it high, and sometimes when that's the case, it doesn't carry over the fence, but he hit that one quite a distance as well.
Short grounder to third. Throw not in time. Pulls Hastings off the bag. And another runner reaches for McMurray with 2 down.
Yeah, just a tough play right here. Boki trying to battle back and just pitch to contact like he did in the last at-bat. This time rolling over the top of it. Puts it in a really tough spot. It's Brett Jones and Jack Baker out there on the left side of the infield having to charge in and also make that throw on the run. Not an easy task, and unfortunately for them, just pulling Corson Hastings just off the bag.
Another soft grounder to Jones. The throw not in time again. Just offline, so back-to-back weak contact singles for McMurray, and they could be building towards tying this game.
Yeah, and realistically, just very heads-up baseball from Blake Beach right there, recognizing the circumstances. Mueller coming up and chopping something to the left side. He decides to just try and keep the job very difficult for Brett Jones that time, and he laid down the perfect bunt in order to do so. That one hugs the line. A really long throw as Brett Jones is moving really straight at home plate and just couldn't put that one on target either.
Now the 9-hole hitter, Xavier Escobar, up. And Boki does not get the call, makes it 2-1. So back-to-back base runners reaching for the Warhawks with 2 outs. In the dirt, it gets away from Lazera, and both will advance with ease.
And tough spot here in the top of the second. A couple of relatively quick outs and obviously a big blast that interrupted those two, but more or less it seemed like this inning would move by very quickly, and now some more taxing pitches for Boki on the mound.
Now the leadoff man back up, it's Coy Carpenter. Carpenter hit by a pitch, the first pitch he saw. Pitch away. And that's actually Escobar still. As now Carpenter will come up to the plate. So now the base is loaded for the leadoff man, center fielder. Carpenter hit by a pitch, the first pitch he saw on the last at-bat. That's fouled off. Chance to take the lead and make this a crooked number for McMurry.
Yeah, and it really seems like he's trying to take advantage of that opportunity. Didn't have the chance to swing it in his first at-bat.
Just high, 1-1.
Yeah, you can see him just dipping a little bit as that one was hitting its destination. Lazara catching that one, and it was certainly a little high in the zone, but right as it was coming across the plate, it looked like Carpenter put a little more bend in his knees.
Pitch high, and it's 2-1. Bokey had 2 quick outs, that home run. Nothing's gone well since then. Even higher, it's 3-1. And in danger of losing Carpenter, nowhere to put him. We'll see what adjustments he makes here. A walk ties the game in the top of the second. Low, ball 4, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, tough at bat for Bokey right there. Looked like he was trying to go to that breaking ball just to use it again as that get me over pitch, as so many pitchers like to do. And even then, he lost it a little bit arm side. It sailed high and put him in a worse position than I think he imagined he would be.
Now a meeting. Pitching coach Dave Smith coming out to talk to his starter. Bokey in his second inning of work. Still 2 outs on the board, an opportunity to get out of this with no further damage, but not an easy challenge. Number 2 hitter Ty Nelson coming up to the plate, the junior from Scottsdale, Texas. A 300 hitter in the 300 hitting player on the year. And he takes one way up and inside. Tigers able to score 2 runs in the bottom of the first. That cushion now gone. This game tied at 2. Pitch away, and it's 2-0.
And it really feels like there's a control issue right now, missing on the inside and then away on the outside part of the plate. I mean, those pitches are probably 2 feet apart realistically.
Lazara throws back to third, but the throw offline. Jones couldn't apply the tag as a 3-0 count with the bases loaded will ensue right now. And a balk called on Michael Bokey with the 3-0 count. That'll bring the 3rd run of the inning in for McMurray. It's 3-2.
And a bit awkward right there. I had eyes on the bullpen as it looks like there's someone up and warming rather quickly for Trinity at the moment. Just entirely missed what happened on the mound.
Pitch in for strike 1. The umpire made that point. Both the base runners currently on advancing, including the one at third who came home. Didn't go. And a 5-pitch walk handed out by Michael Bokey. You're right, somebody warming in the pen with haste. All of a sudden, a 2-run lead for the Tigers evaporated as the number 3 hitter, Riley Hood, comes up to the plate. And the catcher, Nick Lazara, will go to the mound.
Yeah, and a rather slow walk out to the bump to, I think, just buy some time for whoever is warming in the pen. It looked like there was a brief discussion between Dave Smith, the pitching coach, and Tim Scannell, head coach, after that last walk.
And Dave Smith will point the finger. He comes out, and a pitching change will happen here in San Antonio. It's 3-2 McMurray. 2 outs and the bases loaded when we come back. Welcome back. Top of the second in Trinity University between the Tigers and the Warhawks. 3-2, the Tigers have fallen behind against McMurry. As a new pitcher in for Trinity, it's Jack Breezy. Somebody we've seen quite frequently in a lot of different roles. This one is cleanup duty. Trying to get out of this jam. So that's fouled back to make it 1-1.
Breezy is one of those arms that certainly got hit in the early portion of the year, led to an overly inflated ERA. He's tried to recover from that.
Fouled off again, and it's 1-2 to Riley Hood.
And largely, he's been very successful coming into games, throwing strikes. He's been great when he hasn't had to see opposing lineups multiple times through. But for any pitcher on the mound, tough spot, bases loaded against a guy that's hitting over 400.
Ball high, 2-2. A big spot for Jack Breezy, trying to minimize the damage in this inning. Already a crooked number on the board. Tigers have shown the ability to score today, already putting up 2 runs with only 1 frame. A swing and a miss, strike 3. Breezy gets out of it. Warhawks leave them loaded, but they take a 3-2 lead as we head to the bottom of the second on Tiger Network. Should be a good one between McMurry and Trinity. Bottom of the second here in San Antonio, a new pitcher in for McMurray. It's Patrick Wiggins, the sophomore from Mongolia, Texas, making his 5th appearance of the year. Comes in with an ERA of 4.5. As Milligan drops down a bunt. It's a good one. Throw not in time. Milligan beats it out. A leadoff bunt single for Max Milligan.
And a pretty solid way to start the home half of this inning after McMurray stormed back to take a lead in the top of the frame. Just a great job. A lot of lefties in this lineup, and for the most part, Cole, they have some real speed. Woodward, now Milligan laying down a bunt right there and places it fairly well. Of course, righty on the mound, going to fall off the opposite direction, so that one was a little bit of a longer trek for someone fresh into the game. Not sure that's how he anticipated this half would start, so Milligan certainly using that to his advantage and reaching.
Now the shortstop, Jack Baker, up. Working with the runner on first. Takes ball away for ball 1. Baker did not make the trip to Sherman, Texas to visit Austin College, so his first action in about a week. Pitch lands on the outside edge for strike one. This is Wiggins' first appearance in quite some time. Last pitched on March 10th against the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Went 1 inning, no walks, no earned runs. Milligan goes, and it lands in right field. The hit and run executed to perfection. Milligan to third, Baker to first, and runners at the corners with nobody out.
And now it's 2 times that the middle infielders for this Trinity lineup have stepped into the batter's box and hit some pretty weak line drives that have just gotten over the heads of these infielders for McMurry. Colt Harris in the first drove a run home, singling back up the middle on a ball that just kind of died, and this one really had the same trajectory, just falling in over the heads of the second baseman.
First baseman Corson Hastings up now. He takes ball 1. Luke, is that an adjustment you think that's going to be made with those weak line drives? Going back a little bit defensively as opposed to staying up?
I don't know. I think more than anything, you'd imagine that the outfielders might play in a little bit. But considering the fact that in the top of the second, Josh Dyer put one probably 3 rows deep in the parking lot, it was a ball that, again, he got under, and usually when the wind's playing the way it is, it feels more so like it's blowing in. That ball wasn't wind-aided at all. I think it's just confusing to play in this ballpark at times. But I think Trinity right now offensively taking advantage of it, and we've seen a couple of hit and runs.
Hastings lifts that one to right center. Catch is made, Milligan tagging, and he scores easily to tie this game at 3.
And realistically, a very good job here in the bottom half of the second of just coming out and getting that run back quickly. Milligan puts the pressure on the pitcher. Wiggins, fresh into the game, forced to field his position, is just a step too slow. And then this offense that has really struggled just uses some small ball, hit and run that's executed well by Jack Baker. He continues to just demonstrate really good control of the bat. And then a power guy in Corson Hastings steps to the plate, drives one deep enough to get that run all the way home.
So an out on the board with the sac fly, but the score tied at 3. Goes down as an RBI for Corson Hastings and a run for Max Milligan as the leadoff man Jack Peterson comes up to the plate. Works with Baker on first. Hits it to right, and the catch made for out number 2.
And this one, Peterson swinging through, and he gets it pretty squarely. Just drives it down that right field line. Unfortunately for him, because he got it a little more square than his teammates, it hung up plenty of time for the right fielder out there. Charging on that one was Josh Mueller, able to secure it cleanly. And on top of that, good job by Jack Baker over there at first, just freezing in the base paths.
Runner goes. Baker in safely. A stolen base and a runner in scoring position for the Tigers.
Yeah, and a really good throw down from Smosna right there. A pitch that missed to his glove side, so he was being pulled out from behind home plate, forced to just re-square to second base. He got that one down there, made it a much closer play, but it looked like Baker, who of course is playing on his home turf right now, understands something that maybe McMurry isn't quite as used to. What we saw in the first inning, an overslide at third base. Of course, getting going these base paths, really easy to overshoot your target, and Jack Baker just making sure that wasn't the case at second right now.
Caleb Woodward working in a 1-1 count after Baker's stolen base. Breaking ball too far inside, and it's 2-1.
That's a really, really good pitch from Wiggins right there. Imagine with the movement on that, it might have actually caught a little bit of the plate as it was crossing over it, but certainly where Smosna caught it very deep, it looked like it wasn't in the zone at all.
Pick off the backside. Baker dives back safely. Just feels like it's going to be one of those games. Back and forth we go on a Tuesday. Both teams already into their bullpens, and we're only in the second inning. 2-1 pitch. Hit to center. It falls. Baker's being waved around. No throw. He's safe. Woodward thinks about 2 after the misplay in center field, but he stays at first with an RBI single. Tigers take back the lead.
And my goodness, Caleb Woodward is on a tear right now. At bat number 1, barrels one up and puts it in the gap the opposite way. And if it wasn't for this bobble, I think he's probably standing on second. You imagine right there that he's charging in really hard from center field. I think Carpenter's idea, his goal was to try and throw that one through and gun Baker down at home plate. Instead, once that ball falls out of his glove, there's no shot at that. And instead, McMurry and these Warhawks keep Woodward out of scoring position.
Back-to-back 2-run innings for the Tigers offense, and they're not quite done yet. The number 3 hitter, Nick Lazera, up. He walked the last time he was up to bat. Takes a strike to even the count at 1-1. We'll see if they send Caleb Woodward here like they did with Baker. I don't think it would surprise anybody. They do. Ball in the dirt, throw offline. Gets away for a second, but not enough to move Woodward. He's in with the stolen base.
And you timed that one perfectly, Cole. It's an art, realistically, but I think so did this Trinity offense. Of course, Wiggins has to be conscious of the speed and just the willingness to run of these Trinity hitters. Offensively, it's a big part of their identity at this point in time. Just didn't check over in time to keep Woodward honest, and he got a good jump there.
Lazera takes that pitch away, and it's a 3-1 hitter's count. You know, Luke, the line between the announcer's jinx and knowing baseball is a very thin one, I find.
Yeah, sometimes even if it is knowing baseball, the announcer's jinx will come back to get you.
It does every now and then. It has a way of doing that. Lazera takes that pitch for a strike. Works another full count. 3-2 pitch, 2 outs, a runner on second. Tigers with a 4-3 lead. Fouled off, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, and that was quite a healthy hack from Nick Lazar right there. Looked like it was on a pitch, the outside part of the plate. Hands leak out from his body just a little bit and topped off on that baseball. Just enough to fight it off and see another pitch.
Wiggins deals. Grounded to Nelson at second. He throws to first to end the inning, but not before Trinity takes back the lead. It's 4-3 Tigers as we head to the third on Tiger Network. Michael Smosna set to lead things off, and he does so well as he hits it into center field for a base knock. A good start for the Warhawks.
Yeah, and again, your predictions are coming true, Cole. Just back and forth between these two teams. It seems like that's the type of day we're going to get. Now it's going to be the job of Jack Breezy on the mound for Trinity to try and shut things down and hang another 0 on the board.
As it's the man who hit the home run the last time he was up. An absolute moonshot from Josh Dyer, junior from Albany, Texas. If he does it again, he'll give McMurray the lead. Hits that one deep, far back, and way gone. Over under on which row in the parking lot that one landed.
Well, Cole, I might leave you alone on the broadcast for a second because I'm afraid I should move my car at this point in time. 2 moonshot home runs that Josh Dyer has deposited over that right field wall. I was about to say, start this at bat, it looked like Jack Breezy was trying to stay on the outside part of the plate, stay away from giving him the opportunity to pull something. This one left right over the heart, and a couple of times that he has gotten every morsel of the baseball. He just isn't missing right now.
Josh Dyer extending his team lead in the home run category, as this one is lifted to shallow left. Baker all the way back and makes the catch in left center. Not usually a place you see a shortstop make a play.
No, and that one I think he made look a little bit routine. This is quite a long run for Jack Baker to make, and out there he's joined by Woodward and he's joined by Peterson in center field, and I think they both got there with plenty of time. He just felt confident, and it showed. He made the play.
So 1 out on the board. McMurray now with a 5-4 lead. Swing and a miss. As Mueller up to bat once again. 1 for 1, a soft single in the last inning. McMurray was up to bat. Pitch away, and it's 1-2. We saw a big inning from McMurray. The top of the second. And it all started with the Josh Dyer home run. Seemed to rattle Michael Boki a little bit. We'll see if it does the same to Jack Breezy or if he can settle in. 2-2 pitch. Grounded up the middle, and it's a base knock.
And Breezy, we talked about when he came into the game, has very slowly, steadily decreased that ERA from the elevated spot it was to start his 2024 campaign. I think he does so because he comes into games and he throws a lot of strikes, and like we said previously, it becomes an issue when you see a team a second or a third time through an order. Here right now, I think this Warhawks team is just communicating very well that there's a guy on the mound throwing a lot of strikes right now, and they're going up there willing to swing it, and so far they've connected.
0-1 pitch, not yet, as Breezy checks on Mueller out at first base. Now up to bat. It's Beach, the shortstop. Blake Beach, 1 for 1 with a hit today. Strike on the outside edge. It was another one of those weak singles that we saw really cost Michael Boki in the top of the second. Now in an 0-2 hole.
And his last delivery to home plate, looked like Breezy just hit that outside corner very well with the fastball. Another situation in which it seems like he struggles a little bit on the mound is when that breaking ball, the secondary pitch, isn't working as well and just hangs over the plate. It looked like that was the pitch right there. This time, Beach not able to recreate that same weak contact. Swings way out in front of that one for out number 2.
Another strikeout for Jack Breezy, and it brings up Xavier Escobar, the 9-hole hitter, working with 2 outs and a runner on first. Strike 1. Breezy's already checked on Josh Mueller twice, does not have a stolen base attempt on the season. We'll see if that changes with 2 outs and the runner on first. Pitch just misses, and it's 1-1. Swing and a miss. Strike 2. As Escobar down to 1 knee to try and get that one.
Yeah, another hard hack. But again, coming on that breaking ball, Escobar well out ahead of it. Gets himself off balance and goes down to a knee.
Outside and count even at 2-2. Breezy giving up a 2-run homer in this inning to Josh Dyer, a name that we might hear a few more times today based on the way things are trending. Outside and now a full count for Breezy. Runner goes. And pitch fouled off, so Mueller will have to go back. Almost his first stolen base attempt of the year. As we do this full count pitch again. McMurray with the 5-4 lead, 2 outs on the board. Swing and a miss, that's strike 3. Another K for Jack Breezy. But the Warhawks add on. A ball soared to right field, a 5-4 McMurray lead. As we head to the bottom of the third, Trinity's turn to match. Bottom of the third in San Antonio, 3 innings, 3 pitchers for the University of McMurray. Gabriel Aragon, the junior from Fort Worth, Texas, gets the next crack at it. His 8th appearance, making 4 starts already this year. Comes in with a record of 3-0 and ERA above 9. He'll try and lower that in this frame. As he fires strike 1 to the second baseman, Colt Harris. Harris a part of a scoring rally for the Tigers the last time he was up. He's 1 for 1 with a base hit. Grounded to Beach at short. Throw in time for out number 1.
And a pretty sharply hit ball off the bat of Colt Harris right there. Unfortunately for him, just sent it straight to Blake Beach, I should say, at shortstop, and it was a nice candy one-hopper, fielded cleanly. Real easy play, but a nice swing from Harris nonetheless.
The DH, Alex Monson, up now. Takes the ball high. Monson also 1 for 1 with the base hit. Monson also with an RBI in this game, but was thrown out trying to turn a single into a double. Nearly gets him, but gets out of the way. Makes it 2-1. Outside, 3-1. Hit in the air to shallow left, and the catch made for out number 2. The first 2 Tigers retired in order.
Cool. We've seen a couple of balls off these Trinity Tigers bats, off everyone's bats realistically here this evening that have, been skied to left field, been skied to right field. Largely they're just hanging up there. And each time that has happened in the aftermath of either of Dyer's home runs, it's been pretty hard to fathom just how hard he hit those baseballs, considering the way the wind is affecting pretty much everything else.
Well, we might get to see him again when we come back. Top of the 4th coming up on Tiger Network 5-4. McMurry with the lead. First pitch from Breezy, in for strike 1 as we're back for the top of the 4th. Coy Carpenter, the leadoff man, set to lead off this inning for McMurray. Check swing, but a strike call. Then it's 0-2 for Breezy. Breezy gave up that 2-run shot to Josh Dyer to give McMurray the lead, but seems to have settled in since then. He got the next 3 outs after that, and now ahead 1-2 here. Up the middle, a base knock. As the leadoff man reaches for McMurray, a good start to the inning.
Yeah, an unfortunate start for Breezy, who gets up 1-2 in that at-bat, and then just another pitch that catches probably a bit too much of the plate in that type of situation, and especially against a guy that's hitting in the 1 hole for McMurray. Understand in that situation, likely have a pretty dangerous hitter at the plate.
Squares up to bunt, tries to do it, but ultimately fouled back. Interesting decision with Ty Nelson up to plate. No longer squaring up to bunt, an 0-1 count. Check on the runner at first to no avail. Nelson, his previous 2 at-bats, has sacrificed by way of the bunt and walked. Throw back to first, not in time from Lazara, as Carpenter able to get back safely.
Man, it was something we saw earlier in this one. Lazara, I think, was just trying to help his pitchers out, get them off the field. Bases loaded situation, 3-0 count is when he threw down to third base last time out. Now see, he's just pretty aggressive overall behind the plate. And in the early portion of the year, it felt like it hurt Trinity more often then it helped them out.
Hit in the air to right, and Peterson ranges over from center to make the catch. 1 down in the inning.
And a nice play from Peterson right there. Has to go a long way as that one just continued to fade almost to pretty much straight away right field. Max Milligan out there playing right. Looked like he was in perfect condition or position. Peterson calls him off, takes it himself. Just good communication out there in the outfield.
Hit in the air. Potentially playable and not, as it lands into the McMurry bullpen harmlessly.
Yeah, but going back to the point just discussing a moment ago, Lazara throwing down behind the runner at first base, trying to get Carpenter. He has a really, really impressive arm, and you know, whether or not it's resulting in outs, so long as it isn't escaping the infield like it did in the early portion of the year, it is a real weapon. It does keep runners honest. Whether it's, you know, staying close enough to the bag so they can get back in on those snap throws down to first, or just making them conscious of how strong of an arm Lazara has, maybe deterring them from taking off for second.
As Riley Hood takes ball 1. Hood, a strikeout victim in his previous 2 at-bats, trying to avoid making it 3 for 3. An opportunity to add on for McMurray. They're top of the order up in this inning. 1 out on the board, a runner on first. Already the Warhawks with a 5-4 lead. Pitch high and inside, ball 2. So McMurray, an inconsistent team overall. They come into this game 15-14, right around 500. They have yet to win more than 3 games in a row. They have yet to lose more than 3 games in a row. In fact, 16 of their 29 games have been decided by 5 or more runs. They are 7-9 in those games. So it shows you that they have the possibility of having a really good day or a really bad one.
And right now, I mean, feels perhaps a little too early to tell. Both of these teams have put up some runs early, but based on that, it feels like each of these teams are certainly capable of pulling away in this one.
Hit in the air to shallow right. Harris running over and makes the catch. Good play by Colt Harris, coming all the way over from second.
Yeah, and both of these middle infielders for Trinity displaying pretty similar plays. First time around, it was Jack Baker going all the way out to pretty much straight away left field to make a similar grab over the shoulder on the run back towards the wall. Colt Harris showing that he can do the same. This duo in the middle for Trinity has been pretty spectacular all season long.
It's Michael Smosna, the cleanup hitter, up. 1 for 2 today, a base hit the last time he was up. Works with 2 down in the inning, a runner on first. Swing and a miss. Count now even at 1 apiece. Smosna, the catcher, really good numbers coming into this one, hitting .361. Takes a pitch away to make it 2-1.
And a big spot here for each of these teams, really. McMurray in the bottom of the 3rd put up a 0 for the first time in this one. It would be huge if Breezy can come back and answer with one of his own.
Now in a 2-2 count after the swing and miss. Smosna comes into this game with 6 consecutive games with a hit, now made it 7 today with his base knock earlier. But back-to-back 2-hit games coming into this, trying to make it 3 in a row with a base hit here. Pitch away, and it's a full count.
A little bit of movement from Carpenter over there at first base. Started as if he was going to go down to second, maybe just trying to get in the head of Breezy on the mound.
Runner goes on a full count pitch, and it's away. Smosna takes ball 4, heads to first base, and this inning will continue for McMurry.
And it continues with exactly the guy that you would want to bring to the plate in this situation. Fortunately for McMurray, this guy swung it with no one on in front of him the first time up. The second time around, he had the opportunity to do a little bit more damage, and he repeated.
All eyes on Josh Dyer as he takes ball 1 away. We'll see how careful they are with him with 2 outs on the board. First base not open. We'll see how aggressive Breezy is. Swing and a miss, strike 1.
And given the fact that third base is open, I would venture to say he won't be that aggressive, especially in on the hands. I feel like that was a mistake that was made in at bat number 2. Now you just got to keep everything away, and you got to keep it down as best you can.
Hard cut, strike 2. You get the feeling based on his swings he wants to make it 3 for 3.
Yeah, real big uppercut swing from Dyer in the batter's box, and it's no wonder why the baseball sailed out of here the way it did based on these cuts.
1-2 pitch. Lands for strike 3, and that ends the inning. Dyer goes down looking, and Breezy leaves 2 stranded. We'll head to the bottom of the 4th on Tiger Network. McMurray with the 5-4 lead. Welcome back to San Antonio, Texas. A new inning, a new pitcher for McMurray. It's Gianni Cade, the sophomore from Dallas, Texas. The 6'2 lefty making his 2nd appearance of the year. Comes in with an ERA of 9. His only other appearance April 2nd against the University of Dallas. 1 inning pitched, 1 strikeout, and 1 earned run, and he faces Max Milligan. Ball 1 as that pitch misses. Milligan 1 for 1 today. Pitch away, and it's 2-0. Talked to Coach Josh Lee before the game, and he said it will be a bullpen game today, as you've seen so far today. Said guys are going to get opportunities, and we've already seen 4 of them. Pitch in the dirt, and it's 3-0. Low ball 4 and a 4-pitch walk to lead things off for Milligan.
And Milligan hasn't necessarily had the opportunity to swing the bat so far here this evening, but nonetheless has had the opportunity to make his presence known. Bunt in his first at-bat, put him on base, and realistically will take an opportunity to tie this one any way this Trinity offense can. Just important to have someone on with just 0 outs on the board at the moment.
Ball high to the shortstop, Jack Baker. Also 1 for 1 with a base hit. Came around to score in the bottom of the second. Tigers beginning this game with a 2-run inning, followed by another 2-run inning. A 1-2-3 inning in the bottom of the third. As now the 4th inning, the Tigers are up to bat. As Baker takes ball 2, and 6 consecutive pitches outside the zone will warrant a meeting.
And that time, miss arm side. Came after Max Milligan, shuffled his feet, acted as if he was going to break for second base. Hard to imagine lefty on the mound, especially with the count being 2-0 already, that Milligan's going to take off and risk an easy or easier pickoff, I should say, for Cade. An opportunity for the Warhawks to get out number 1 here.
So Baker ahead 2-0. Strike called. McMurry trying to settle this down, working with the 5-4 lead that they obtained in the top of the third. Baker rips it to left, and it's down for a base hit. Milligan stops at second, and the first 2 Tigers are aboard in the bottom of the 4th.
And unfortunately for Cade, he falls behind 2-0 against Jack Baker. Finds a way to get a pitch across, but still have to imagine that he's working through things out there on the mound, trying to find that release point. Was trying to avoid falling behind 3-1. Ultimately puts that one right over the heart of the plate, and you're right, Jack Baker was ready for that, well out ahead of it, and just rips that to his pull side.
The 9-hole hitter, Corson Hastings up, takes a ball in the dirt, but a good job by Smosna to keep that in front of him. A big block by the catcher, keeping the runners where they are.
Yeah, but again, this Trinity offense is aggressive on the base paths, especially with a lead runner as quick as Milligan out there. Now at second base, good opportunity maybe to put on some sort of double steal.
That one gets away, and both runners advance. Second and third for the Tigers with nobody out.
Effectively a double steal, but not precisely what I was inferring right there.
You get partial credit.
I'll take it. I thrive. I need partial credit. It's been a while since I've talked tax exam on the broadcast, but if it wasn't for partial credit, I don't know where we would be, Cole.
Hastings ahead 2-0. Inside ball 3. So Cade in danger of loading the bases.
Yeah, this full infield in for McMurray at the moment.
Everybody on the green grass or touching it. 3-0 pitch, inside ball 4. Hastings heads to first base, and the leadoff man, Jack Peterson, will have quite the opportunity.
And I was talking briefly before this game, Cole, about Jack Peterson. He's a little bit of an awkward leadoff guy. You think about it, certainly he has the tools to be in that position. He has just great plate discipline and awareness. He takes pitches very, very well. He has outstanding speed. But on the other side of the line, this is a guy that can really, really mash the baseball. And those two assignments don't align all that much, right? You're asking someone to do pretty different things when it comes to taking pitches, working at bats, versus a guy that wants to swing it and try and drive it out of the park. He's hunting for specific pitches. And realistically, if you get that in offering number one, as a leadoff guy, you don't necessarily have the opportunity to take advantage of it. Right now, I think that's the version we get, though, of Jack Peterson, who's probably hunting for something.
Low ball 1, Peterson ahead 1-0. Working with the bases loaded. Tigers have already hit 2 grand slams this season. Strike called.
And imagine that it likely wasn't going to come in a 0 strike count. Forces Cade to put one over right there, and I think now that grants him a green light.
Now the 1-1. Inside edge, strike called. So Cade working ahead in this count, and we'll see what he can do here. First 2-strike count of the inning. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 1 out on the board, and now an inning-ending double play is a possibility for McMurry.
I mean, that's just a tremendous job from Cade on the mound. That's a pretty excellent changeup. I think in the offering before, that last one that Peterson struck out on looked like a breaking ball, maybe a slider, a breaking ball, stayed down in the zone. But whatever he threw before that and just spotted it on the inside part of the plate, that was really the X-factor pitch in that at-bat.
So now Caleb Woodward up to the plate, 2 for 2 today. He is singled and doubled. Down 0-1. 0-2 as Cade has seemed to find his groove.
And right now really liking that inside portion of the plate.
0-2 pitch with 1 out and the bases loaded. Swing and a miss. That's strike 3, back-to-back strikeouts from Cade, and he's 1 out away from getting out of the jam.
Yeah, and what a turn of the tides here in San Antonio. The bases loaded, nobody down. It looked like Trinity was threatening for a huge inning. Now the offense regresses a little bit and trends towards what we've grown accustomed to, unfortunately, this season. Offense that has left a lot of runners on base, but hopefully Nick Lazar will have something to say to the contrary.
Outside, ball 1. Lazara 0 for 1 today. Grounded out to second the last time he was up. He's also walked. See what the catcher can do. Now 2-0. First 3 batters of the inning reaching for Trinity. A walk, a base hit, and another walk. Back-to-back strikeouts for Cade, and he's 1 out away. In the dirt, 3-0, in danger of losing Lazara and tying the game.
And unfortunately for this Trinity offense, Lazar is a guy that can do a lot of damage in this spot and turn this into a crooked number real quickly. Realistically, he's a guy that's patient and I think willing to just work a walk right here, unless Cade has something different to say about that.
Does on that pitch as he fires strike 1. Now a 3-1 pitch. 2 down, the bases loaded. Hit to right, deep, far, and off the wall. 1 run comes in easily. Here comes another. Hastings coming around, trying to score and not going to. He is out at the plate, but an RBI double for Nick Lazara gives the Tigers the 6-5 lead.
And I am, again, utterly shocked at the way the baseball is flying out to right field. Cole, correct me if I'm wrong, but the sound off of that bat, it really, really resembled just a capped swing. It didn't seem like Lazara got a barrel on that baseball, and somehow it flew over the head of the right fielder, and you're right, bounced up against that wall.
As the Tigers put up 2 runs in the bottom of the 4th, it takes us to the top of the 5th. They take the lead back. It's 6-5 in San Antonio. Jack Breezy back on the mound when we come back in this back-and-forth game. Top of the 5th in San Antonio. As folks, we hope you like seesaws because you're on one now. This game swinging back and forth. Tigers taking back the lead 6-5 as Jack Breezy back on the mound. Another inning of work. Pitch away. So Luke, we were talking about that ball that Nick Lazara hit all the way out to right field. Not a good sound on contact. We both thought he was going to fly out, but it just kept carrying back to the wall despite the wind working against it.
Yeah, that one, I'm perplexed. I really, truly don't know what to say. And realistically, I think it's been consistent today. Both of the balls off of the bat of Josh Dyer, the trajectory was the big thing. Certainly he got a lot of them. He barreled those balls up. But his swing, the path of it, it's launched them. They've both been quote-unquote moonshots. He sent them really high into the air. And the fact that, they haven't been wind-aided at all, just didn't expect things to carry that far out in right field today, but they really, really have.
Grounded to Jones at third. This throw in time. And the leadoff man retired.
And a good response here. Now on the top of the 5th from Jack Breezy. See, this breaking ball does have the break that he desires that time. Stays in the zone mostly, but certainly finishes right at the bottom portion of it. Forces the hitter to swing, and not much you can do with that one.
Now Josh Mueller up, swinging a miss there, and it's strike 1. Breezy trying to work a clean inning like he did the last time he was up, able to get out of a jam. Two base runners on for McMurray. Strikes out Josh Dyer of all people, the home run king of this game. Gets out of that jam, keeps this game 5-4. Tigers eventually strike back and take the lead 6-5. Now working with that lead. Behind 2-1 here. Pitch low, and that's 3-1. Fouled back, and the count is full. Mueller 2 for 2 today, back-to-back base hits. Trying to make it 3 for 3. And he takes strike 3. Thought he had ball 4, not the case. And there's 2 outs on the board for the Tigers.
And we'll have to see this one on the replay. From our vantage point, looked like this one was maybe a little bit up. Certainly on the inside portion of the plate as well. I think it catches it laterally. The question is, at what point is this one really starting to break? It looks like another curveball, and from straight on, that one looks really good.
Shortstop Blake Beach now up. Beach has a base hit in this game. 1 for 2 today. Now in a 1-1 count. fouls it off. Now, Luke, the wind, not a huge factor in this game overall, as we've seen some hard-hit baseballs going into the wind. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Beach goes down swinging. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Jack Breezy. I'll finish my thought when we come back, bottom of the 5th in San Antonio. Round and round they go from the bullpen of McMurry, a new pitcher out there for the Warhawks. It's Titus Ashton, the junior, making his 3rd appearance of the year. Comes in with an ERA of 4.5. Facing the second baseman, Colt Harris. Harris up for the 3rd time today. He's 1 for 2, has a base hit in this game. And now ahead 2-0. Luke, I was saying the wind, not a huge factor in this game, but our microphone's a very different story at times. I'm sure people listening at home have heard the wind ripping into our mics pretty consistently, but we like to think it just makes you feel like you're there.
Yeah, a little added crowd noise, perhaps. Thankfully, died down just a little bit at the moment. Of course, it's how these things work
Usually.
For us on Tiger Network.
Yeah, that fits. Harris takes a quick trip to first. 4-pitch walk. So it brings up the DH, Alex Monson. Still hovering around that 370 mark in terms of batting average. Also 1 for 2 today. A base hit in the first inning. Flew out to left the last time he was up. As he takes strike 1 on the outside edge. Tigers working with the lead offensively for one of the first times today. They found themselves either tied or down every time they come up to bat. Monson hacks at that one. He's down 0-2.
And kind of an interesting arm action from Ashton on the mound. Doesn't get that full extension behind the body. It really gets to that L shape with his throwing arm. Because of that, just a little bit quicker.
Monson lined and caught. Throw back to first, gets away. Harris running to second. He's in safely off the error. But what a play from Nelson at second.
And realistically, Monson shortens up a little bit right here, not trying to do too much, willing to just go back up the middle as he tries to time things better and it's a real hot shot off of his bat. And you're right, Nelson making a tremendous grab, fully extending as he's moving up the middle. A little bit overeager, perhaps, trying to get Harris at first, who did a nice job of freezing on the base paths and getting back into the bag, and then picks himself up and takes the extra 90 feet given to him.
Good base running from Colt Harris after the incredible play by Ty Nelson at second. So Harris in scoring position with one out. Brett Jones up to bat for the third time today. Takes ball 2 ahead 2-0. Jones not a regular starter in this lineup, but getting a midweek opportunity. Pretty much the only non-regular in the lineup today. Normally Kai Tinker out there at third. Pitch away, and it's 3-0.
And I mean, more often than not, I think we're used to seeing some juggling in this lineup in these midweek games, and I think a lot of the time it is to experiment and see what different guys have. But you're right. Kai Tinker has been one of just a couple of staples in this lineup, one of the guys that you feel really sure about the spot he's playing. I mean, defensively, he's been tremendous, but the bat's just gotten better and better and better as the season has gone along. He's not a guy that strikes out, and a little shockingly, I think I maybe didn't give him enough benefit in the early portion of the year for his strength. He drove one out of the park last weekend at Austin College. So he's added a lot of value to this lineup, and imagine he's just getting the evening off here in San Antonio.
Jones working in a full count. Hits it to left, it falls. Harris gets the red light. He stays at third. As the base hit from Brett Jones puts runners at the corners with one down.
Yeah, runners on the corners is right. Looked like there was a little bit of an interaction between third base coach Deering, who looked across the diamond at Brett Jones. I think he just wanted a little bit more awareness on that, or in that situation. He was coaching Colt Harris, giving him the stoplight at third base. Didn't want to risk that one. Was trying to see the throw in, but of course also the responsibility of Jones at third base to monitor the trajectory.
A great bunt from Milligan, and safe. Reaches on the bunt single, drives in another run for the Tigers. It's 7-5. Perfectly down the first base line.
Yeah, this one just hugs that first base line all the way, and then very heads up. Can't exactly tell from this angle, but our vantage point on the roof looks like that dive to get further into foul territory as he was headed towards the bag did keep him away from the glove, and did keep him, in fact, safe in that situation right there.
2 bunt singles on the day for Max Milligan. This one drives in a run. Now 7-5. Trinity runners on first and second for the shortstop, Jack Baker. Back-to-back base hits for Baker. Take strike one. Baker trying to help the Tigers whip up a big inning. Already one on the board. Milligan's bunt single, the Tigers' 10th hit of the game already. They've knocked in 7 runs. As Baker takes that high, makes it 2-1. And we talked about McMurry and how they're either off or on, all the blowout wins and losses. Their ability to score a lot of runs. It seems like they've come to play offensively, but so has Trinity so far.
Yeah, this has certainly been a welcome change in the script here tonight, Cole.
Ball high, and it's 3-1. And yes, obviously part of that has to do with the fact that McMurray has thrown 5 different pitchers in 5 different innings. That helps, but still some consistency offensively from this team that we haven't seen in quite a few weeks here.
I mean, yeah, it certainly has helped tonight, but there's also a very real situation where it doesn't help. You don't have the opportunity to settle in as a hitter, familiarize yourself with an opposing pitcher's stuff, with his delivery, a multitude of different things. This is a Trinity team that's had to adjust from arm to arm to arm every inning tonight, and they've been more than capable of doing so. And I think that kind of adds to it. Gives me a little bit more hope that if they can adjust to 5 different pitchers in 5 innings, then maybe they can find a little bit of a stride and have success against multiple guys in this back half of the conference schedule that waits them right now.
Baker walked. He's at first base. Bases loaded with 1 out for Corson Hastings. Ripped to center. It falls. 1 run comes across. Another coming around. Baker, or Milligan, I should say, sprints home. Now 9-5 Trinity, the largest lead for either team.
And the other aspect of this, Cole, of course, you just alluded to a couple of bunt singles that this Trinity offense has taken advantage of. Outside of that, it has been a lot of line drives barreled back up the middle third of the field. This time, one comes off the bat, of course, in Hastings, and it's going to be enough to drive this pitcher out of the game and bring another arm in.
That'll be the day for Titus Ashton, but we can stick around and talk about this offensive performance. It's so interesting. Only 2 extra base hits on the day so far, yet 11 hits, 9 runs.
Yeah, and I mean, it's back and forth. Of course, think back to the first inning. One of those extra base hits, I believe, was off the bat of Caleb Woodward. Very nearly the outfielders for McMurray got there to cut it off. I think it's been just a matter of feet a couple of times where they've gotten there or they haven't. And more often than not, they've done a nice job of playing in the gaps, keeping everything in front of them, and limiting this Trinity offense to just 1 bag at a time. But when you get 11 hits on the board, it's hard to limit the damage done, and ultimately that's the big story here in San Antonio today. 9 runs on 11 hits.
Something we didn't see a lot last weekend. Failed to push 10-0 twice, run ruled them in both games. Unable to do it this weekend. Tigers come into this game having won 8 in a row, but not as dominant as a winning streak as you might expect. A sweep against the University of St. Thomas, sweep against Austin College, but some close games mixed in against what's in the standings would be considered lesser competition. Though tonight they're showing up offensively.
Yeah, but even then it feels like you can make a caveat there, Cole. This has been just offensively an outlier kind of season in the SCAC. Across the board, teams are just not scoring runs the way that I'm used to, and I think the way that most people are used to. So certainly makes you feel a little bit better about what this Trinity offense has failed to do. But despite that, I think there's an expectation this program as a whole carries. Whether or not the conference, whatever it is reflecting, I think Trinity wants to hold itself to its own standard, and largely they've fallen a little bit short, especially think back just 2 years ago. It's a team that was averaging about double-digit runs, and they're well short of that mark right now.
New pitcher in for McMurray. It's Grayson Winter, the junior from Buda, Texas. Making his 6th appearance of the year as Peterson drops down a bunt. It's a good one. Throw not going to be made. A bunt single for Jack Peterson, his first hit of the game.
Yeah, just perfectly placed, perfectly paced as well. This one is more so a hard hit, or hard bunt, I guess I should say, off of his bat. And what that does is it gets it right past the pitcher, forces the issue. Third baseman has to come in, charge this one. He's the one that has to make the play since the pitcher can't get there. And because it has to travel all the way to the third baseman, Peterson, with the speed he has on the base paths, was already probably halfway, maybe 2/3 of the way down the line, and there just wasn't going to be a play there.
Bases now loaded for Caleb Woodward. 2 for 2 with a double and a single today. The first year in an 0-1 count against Winter. Just missed. 1-1. Winter's last appearance came on March 16th against the University of Mary Hardin-Baylor. Pitched .1 innings, allowed 5 earned runs, trying to bounce back and get his team out of the jam. Ripped to left, it falls. Another base hit for Woodward. It scores 1 as the Tigers play station to station to make it 10-5.
Yeah, Cole, station to station is exactly right, and it goes back to what we talked about just a second ago. Not a lot of extra base hits in this one, but again, there's a line drive that's hit just straight at the left fielder. An unfortunate break with the bases loaded. It was a spot where a gapper certainly has an opportunity to clear them, considering who was out there at the moment. But more than anything else, I think it's good to see this offense just pass the baton and go at bat to at bat.
Brings up the catcher Nick Lazzara, who takes ball 1. Bases loaded once again after the Caleb Woodward RBI single. He's 3 for 4 today, waiting on first. At second, the leadoff man, Jack Peterson. At third, Corson Hastings. Strike 1. Grayson Winter thrown into a tough situation, bases loaded. The run he allowed not charged to him. Already a 4-run inning for the Tigers in a 10-5 game. So that's grounded foul, making it 1-2.
Good job to at least get ahead of Lazzara in this count right here. Forces the hands of the catcher. We've already seen ground out to the right side. Doesn't run particularly well. Good spot for a double play ball. I think at that rate, have to continue to come right in on the hands of Lazzara right here.
Lined into right. It scores Hastings. Peterson playing home. The play at the plate, not in time. Lazzara digs in for second. He's thrown out. And that's the second out of the inning. Woodward safe at third, and it is 12-5 Trinity.
And another time in this ball game that Trinity has remained very aggressive on the base paths. You see Lazzara and just how long he froze over there at first. Really watched that play develop at the plate. I think if he had taken off as soon as he gets this one or sees this one go all the way home, he has a much better chance of reaching second base, and took his gloves off with some real frustration after being thrown out. But I think above and beyond all else, you're going to live with the result of the at-bat. Single through the right side, another line drive, and a couple of more runs brought in.
Cleanup hitter Colt Harris, working with 2 outs and a runner on third, swings at a ball in the dirt. And it's 0-2. Harris today 1 for 2. He's singled and he walked the last time he was up. Tigers now working with a 6-run inning. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Inning over mercifully. Trinity taking a 12-5 lead as we head to the top of the 6th in San Antonio. New arm in for Trinity. It's Shepard Tyler, a sidearm thrower, comes in with an ERA of 4.5, whip over 2, but he'll make the effort to get that down against the 9-hole hitter for McMurry, Xavier Escobar. And first pitch, a hit by pitch. Escobar will throw his bat and head to first.
Yeah, I mean, this has got to be one of the biggest concerns anytime a sidearm thrower comes into a game, that he loses it arm side. That one runs in arm side. Fortunately, that time up, it's a right-handed hitter and runs in and gets him on the arm. So leadoff base runner on, and things don't get any easier as it turns the lineup over for McMurry, and now the one-hole hitter steps up to the plate.
Carpenter 1 for 1 today, singled the last time he was up. Working with a runner on first after the hit by pitch. McMurray's got a lot of work to do, but completely capable of doing it. Talked about whether they're off or they're on. Talked to Coach Josh Lee about that. He says, yeah, there seems to be some kind of a switch, but the biggest thing for this team is that they know they haven't peaked yet. Trying to peak at the right time, which for them would be the ASC championship game. As Tyler fires that for strike 3, 1 down in the inning as Carpenter goes down looking.
And that's the real hope anytime you bring a sidearm thrower into the game, is that he can hit spots on the outside part of the plate, and he does so this time around with a left-handed hitter up to the plate, just taking advantage of that advantage right there. But you make an interesting point there, Cole.
A base hit for Ty Nelson, as McMurray has runners on first and second with 1 down in the inning.
Think about this ASC conference, one that we have seen a lot of here in San Antonio on Tiger Network. Now McMurray, but we've also had eyes on East Texas Baptist, UT Dallas. We will have eyes on Hardin-Simmons, have seen Mary Hardin-Baylor, have seen Concordia. We've seen the majority of this conference to this point in the season. I mean, it's hard to take a real big takeaway from just one game, but they've all largely been incredibly competitive, and I think that translates to the results that we've seen between these squads in conference play as well.
McMurray coming into this game just barely above 500, 15 and 14, but they've beaten some good competition. Took down the University of Wisconsin Whitewater, who these Tigers are very familiar with from earlier in the year. And a blowout victory. They also got blown out by them in another game in that series, but it illustrates how they can do it both ways. Trying for 2, throw to first in time, so they at least get 1. As it looked like Harris was pulled off the bag. Or Baker, I should say.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right on that call. In real time, that's what it looked like on the field. You know, Harris was coming to the first base side, trying to shovel it back the opposite direction. He just didn't put enough velocity on this baseball, and Baker, who was working through the bag, was already off it by the time he met the baseball. Nice to get the out at first, but certainly a missed opportunity.
And another hit by pitch, the second one in this inning. Smosna not happy about it. But it does load the bases for McMurray with 2 down.
Yeah, and I think maybe more important than that is the fact that it brings Josh Dyer to the plate, who has already done a ton of damage in this one, and now hitting with the bases loaded is a scarier concept.
And it will warrant a pitching change. Shepard Tyler gets 2 outs in the top of the 6th, and a new arm coming in for the Tigers when we come back. New Armin for the Tigers with the bases loaded. It's Jonathan Newman, and you see the numbers on your screen. Quite impressive. .37 ERA and a 4-0 record. But he faces Josh Dyer with the bases loaded, who takes strike one.
Yeah, Newman has been tremendous out of the pen. He's a guy that is a regular in the weekend rotation that's really been established in the more recent weeks this season. You can see why as he very quickly works ahead 0-2, and you saw that ERA number that's just very steadily dropped. It would be the best in the country in Division III if he had an inning pitched for each game Trinity has played.
Newman working his way to that, only needs a few more innings. Looked like strike three, but does not get the call, as Dyer will stay right where he is. Now 1-2 pitch. Hit in the air. Deep to left field. Woodward under it towards the warning track. Makes the catch to end the inning. Newman gets out of the bases loaded jam. Still a 12-5 Trinity lead as we head to the bottom of the sixth on Tiger Network. Another pitcher in for McMurry. It's Dylan Schaefer. The senior making his 7th appearance of the year, comes in with an ERA just above 4. Last pitched 2 weekends ago against ETBU. Through 3.1 innings, got 2 strikeouts, allowed 3 earned runs, and only 1 walk. Making his first appearance since then. Trying to hold this deficit for McMurray. 12-5, Trinity has the lead. And the designated hitter up, Alex Monson. Monson 1 for 3, but a sharp line out the last time he was up. As a Sports Center level play from Ty Nelson at second. First pitch lands for strike one. These two teams facing off against each other last season as well as this one. That one out in Abilene, a Tuesday game. As Monson hacks at that one, he's down 0-2. McMurry taking that game 9-5. They got out ahead early. Joseph Shavana actually making the start in that game. Only pitched 1 inning. It was a rare 1-inning start for Shavana because he throws his bullpen today. So they just felt that they would do that bullpen in a live game scenario, though, with the score being what it is. Highly unlikely that you'll see Shavana today. Monson in a 1-2 count. Fouls that off, and he'll do it again.
think last time up, he fell behind, similar manner that he did in this at-bat. Of course, you alluded to that ball that he put right back up the middle, got robbed just a bit, but certainly capable of swinging with 2 strikes on the board.
Hit in the air to deep right field, back at the wall, it's gone. A home run for Alex Monson. A solo shot makes it 13-5.
Yeah, not quite the moonshots that Josh Dyer drove out of the park in the early portions of this game, but just as impressive off the bat of Alex Monson. A line drive that he put out to right center field that time. It's a pretty short field out and true right down the line, but he didn't hit this one out to the shortest portion of the wall. That one to the left of the Nike Just Do It sign. He got that one, probably put it out about 380.
Oh, he did it, Luke. He saw the sign. He did it. So now Brett Jones comes up. Jones rips that to left. It's going to fall as well. A base hit for the Colorado native, his second of the game. And the Tigers already with some action offensively in this inning.
And the bats are just staying hot. 16 hits on the scoreboard now in San Antonio for these Trinity Tigers. I mean, this is the offensive awakening that I think this team has been waiting for. And hopefully they can bottle this and carry it forward with them. And don't want this to be a one-and-done scenario.
So now Max Milligan up. He takes ball 1. Tuesdays had been an issue for the Tigers the last 2 seasons before their win a week ago against the University of Concordia, Texas. It had been 2 full years since they last won on a Tuesday. They went winless in the 2023 campaign on that day of the week. Well, little did we know, all it took was 1. And then here they are again. Milligan ahead 2-0. Takes a pitch inside, now 3-0. You know, Luke, Tuesday used to be Coach Scannell's favorite day of the week. Of course, that changed with last year not having a lot of success there. I think they're going to be coming back for him a little bit.
Yeah, especially if this particular Tuesday has a lasting effect. I think this could potentially be looked at retrospectively as a very important game for this Trinity offense. No, I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. Maybe you would be, Cole, a little better versed in this from a schedule perspective. How many games this Trinity offense in this season has put up 13 runs? I just don't think it's happened very frequently. Well, I can't think off the top of my head. Of course, we have it available to us.
We will look it up. It's hard in the SCAC just because of the run rule. There's a game against Shriner, that 3rd game of the series, where I believe they had a 6-run inning. It looked like they were on pace to do that, but didn't because the game stopped early. They did put up 14 runs in that game.
Put up 14 in that
So
one.
They did it so early because you have to play at least 7.
But again, you think back, we alluded to a couple of years ago here in San Antonio, a Trinity team, the last Trinity team that went to the College World Series, put up about 10 runs a game on average. That's the type of squad that has to go out and pretty regularly put up 13, 14, 15 runs to make that an average.
Oh, how could I forget? The Babson game.
Yeah, that opening weekend of play, of course, has 2 games where Trinity scores 15 or more.
Baker rips it to right. Green light for Jones. He's coming home. Play at the plate. Cut off. Gets away for a second. You heard go, go, go. Milligan thought better of it. He would not have been there in time.
Yeah, I think Coach Deering has erred on the side of aggression here this evening. Think back. I think he told Corson Hastings to go at some point, and it wasn't a particularly close play, but I think the sentiment kind of carries over. It's part of the same conversation we're having. 2 games in the early portion of the year, that opening weekend where Trinity puts up 15 or more runs. Just 1 game outside of that, though, where they've scored 14. They did it against Shriner. Now, to hit that again after a long stretch of games where it felt more so like they were relying on the pitching staff to hold opponents down. Now in a game where the pitching staff gets hit a little bit in the early going, it feels really, really good to know that your bats are behind you and can generate this kind of response.
As Corson Hastings works ahead 2-0, runners at the corner, still no outs on the board. Another 2-run inning for the Tigers already. Now 3-0. McMurry in danger of loading the bases. But ultimately, Trinity getting hot at the right time. An important series coming up this weekend against Texas Lutheran as Hastings works a 4-pitch walk. That'll turn the lineup over for the Tigers. But Texas Lutheran, a team that we thought was kind of dead in the water early in the year, all of a sudden back in this conference race. They look like their old selves again. Could present a challenge coming into San Antonio.
Yeah, and I saw some results from that weekend series. I think it's Braden Beard. I believe that's the name. I'm not sure I have it entirely correct, but it's in that ballpark at least. He went 10 innings, gave up 1 run in the weekend series that they just departed. I mean, that's another type of result in performance that I think you put a lot of weight in from the perspective of carrying that forward. Nice to get an arm going in that capacity, and for Texas Lutheran, I'm sure they would love if he can recreate that performance as they come into San Antonio this upcoming weekend. But again, go back to it. This is a Trinity team that's getting hot at the right time, as you just said, and that'll be quite the matchup to watch this weekend.
Almost like evening out of things. A return to normal in the SCAC. As Peterson waves at that for strike 1. University of Dallas, they had a hot start. It looked like they were going to be a threat to finish in the top 3 of this conference. Centenary sort of struggling a little bit out of the gates in the conference race. And TLU having a terrible start to their conference schedule. As that pitch off the glove, and Milligan slides in smoothly and safely for the 15th run of the game.
Yeah, recognized he was in there. No throws coming. Just slowed down. We talked about it earlier. Jack Baker went in and made sure he stayed right on the bag at second base. Didn't want to overslide or anything of the matter. And Milligan right there, recognizing he had time, no throw was coming. You're right. Smooth is an understatement. That style points right there. Pops up very casually, walks back to the dugout. That was nice.
That was very nice. He treated it as sort of like a business thing. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm here.
No big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Does it very regularly.
So now Peterson working with just runners on second and third. 1-1 count. Past the second baseman. That'll score another run. Peterson thinking about 2, but once again, that would have been unwise. Thinks better about it. As they credit that as a hit, no error charged to Ty Nelson. And an RBI single for the center fielder.
Yeah, and based on the trajectory of that baseball, it looks like this one kicks off of Nelson's glove out there at second base, but McMurry trying to limit damage, trying to maybe avoid a run rule. I'm not sure if that's in effect on a Tuesday. It'll be weird, but either way, trying to avoid any additional damage here. Nelson was playing in, and given the fact that he wasn't at regular depth, a little out of position, that one goes down in the books as a hit.
So now runners at the corners for Caleb Woodward. Already a 3-hit day for the first year, 3 for 4. 2 singles and a double. Already ahead 2-0 in this count. over the shortstop, down another hit. Hastings jogs into home, and he adds the 17th run of the game, 5th run of the inning, as the Tigers are pouring it on. 19 hits on the day, counting that one.
Yeah, and it remains true, kind of shockingly. We added one extra base hit in the form of the home run off the bat of Alex Monson, but it's just base knock after base knock. Guys that aren't trying to do too much with the bat in their hands, and it's resulted in a lot of barrels and a lot of line drives, and it's been pretty magnificent to watch.
New pitcher coming in for McMurray. As we'll take a break on Tiger Network, it's 17-5, Trinity in San Antonio. New pitcher in for McMurray. It's David Perez, the first year from Bay City, Texas, making his 6th appearance of the year. Last pitched April 2nd against the University of Dallas. 2 innings pitched, 1 walk allowed, but no earned runs. As a pinch hitter in for Trinity, it's John Adrian Dioli, who works with runners on first and second, coming in for the catcher Nick Lazera. Take strike 1. Sun peeking out. Was behind a cloud earlier. We liked it better that way. Popped up. Maybe in play. And it was, but the catch not made. So John Adrian Dioli will get another chance.
Yeah, and granted to him by just a matter of inches. I think maybe the dugout fencing coming into play, opportunity up against that fence to make the grab, just barely out of reach for McMurray, and that out number 1 here continues to evade them.
So Dioli steps back in. 1-2 pitch. Goes down looking. That's strike 3 and the first out of the inning.
What a great spot right there. Perez dotting that one on the bottom portion of the plate, coming in right across John Adrian Dioli's knees. Not a ton you can do with that one.
Harris fouls that back. 1 for 3 today. Struck out the last time he was up. But I got to talk to Coach Scannell about a week ago. Told me about the difference between hitting home runs and then passing the baton like this. I asked him about that because the Tigers have been hitting so many home runs recently. They've been relying on it at times. And he said he prefers passing the baton, building a big inning hit by hit, because it's more consistency throughout the order. He says you'll get it. You'll take a home run when you get it. He prefaced that, but likes more consistency offensively as Harris strikes out 2 down in the inning.
Yeah, and again, we can talk about that team from just a couple years ago. They relied very heavily on the home run ball, but even then it felt a little bit different. It felt a little bit more natural with some of the guys that they had in that offense. Tyler Pettit, who was here last year, ball just flew off his bat, right? It wasn't like he was trying to drive something out of the park. It just had a little bit of different kind of pop. MJ Metz, a guy that went on, had a very successful season at Duke last year, hit 3 home runs in a regional on a torn ACL, right? You can imagine that at the Division III level, the ball traveled off his bat a little differently. Other guys on that squad, Brian Schaub was the team that led that year in home runs. There's not a name on this roster, I don't think, that I would equate with those types of power bats. Certainly they have the capability this year to hit home runs, but just not with the same kind of ease, not with the same kind of regularity. And at that rate, you just can never really rely on it. Instead, this offensive approach that we're seeing, 19 hits, is a pretty sure bet to generate runs.
That team from 2022 with all those players that you just mentioned went to the College World Series. And they did it despite an ERA over 6 from their pitching staff. As that's grounded softly, throw in time to get Coney. And that ends the inning, but 5 more put up by the Trinity Bats. It's 17-5 as we head to the 7th in San Antonio. Welcome back to San Antonio, Texas, on the campus of Trinity University. New pitcher in for the Tigers, replacing Jonathan Newman. It's Ian Swafford. Comes in with an 0-3 record. Getting some innings here today in the 7th, in a 17-5 game. Pitch in for strike 1, making the count 1 apiece.
And Swafford has gotten his name called a little bit more in the past couple of weeks, and certainly a great opportunity to show what he has right now with a 12-run advantage on the board. No, he came in and got hit at Austin College this past weekend, but I don't think he gave up any earned runs.
As that's up the middle, potentially through the gap, but Peterson able to cut it off. Still going for 2 anyways, throw wide. So a lead-off double for McMurry to get things going.
Yeah, and a really, really lucky break it feels like on the base paths right there. Jack Peterson does a tremendous job, just absolutely busting his butt in center field to keep this ball in front of him. This one very easily would have gotten in the gap and made it a sure double, but he gave this one a chance. Maybe the throw was a little offline, but felt like had Colt Harris moved over to cut it off, relay probably still gets to Baker at second with enough time to apply a tag, and that just totally changes the trajectory of this inning. But instead, a pretty solid start for McMurry.
Leadoff double, puts the man on second. Ripped, fair ball into the right field corner. That'll score a run. An RBI double makes it 17-6.
And mentioned the fact that Swafford saw some innings at Austin College, and I don't think he gave up a tremendous number of earned runs. There were runs scored while he was on the mound, and as he continues his 2024 campaign, he comes into this one, and at 6'6", he throws it hard, but you can see the result of a hard throwing righty. Ball's just rocketing off the bats of these McMurry Warhawks. Back-to-back hits, back-to-back line drives, and they get another one on the scoreboard.
Now runner at second, Blake Beach, the shortstop. Swings through that. Strike two. Beach 1 for 3, struck out the last 2 times he's been up, singled in his first at-bat. McMurry trying to take something into their weekend series they can build on. There's strike 3. Swafford gets him looking, and there's 1 down in the inning.
And it's a nice response from Swafford right there. Not wasting any pitches in that at-bat. Big right-hander on the mound, just coming straight at these McMurry hitters, even though they got hit pretty hard, a couple consecutive at-bats. Recognizes the situation here in San Antonio. Big lead, still very willing to just pitch to contact.
Runner goes, but the pitch gets away from Riding for a second. That's all that they need. Stolen base puts a runner at third with 1 down. Sacrifice fly possibility alive now. This is the last out-of-conference game McMurry will play all season. Strike called on the outside edge. Carson Jones pinch hitting for Xavier Escobar. Ground ball to short. Tough play for Baker. Throw gets by Hastings. Run scores as Jones heads to second. McMurry adds on another run.
Yeah, and just an especially tough spot right here with a runner over there at third base. Riding more or less is forced to stay at the dish and can't back up that throw at first. It was a tough play for Baker to make. Normally, I think he would rely on having someone behind his first baseman. That's not the case there. And Jones takes advantage, does a nice job of putting something in play, bringing a run in, getting himself an RBI. But on top of that, the error in the field, he'll advance all the way over to second.
It'll go down as a single and an error on the throw. Runner now at second, pitch away from Swafford. It's a leadoff man, Coy Carpenter. 1 for 2 today, struck out looking the last time he was up. He's also singled and been hit by a pitch. But it looks like mid-at-bat, that'll do it for Ian Swafford. Leaves this game with a runner at second in a 17-7 game. New pitcher when we come back in San Antonio. New pitcher in for the Trinity Tigers. It's Zach Balbin who comes into this game, ERA just above 6.5. 13 strikeouts, only the 2 walks. Comes in with an 0-1 record. As that one misses, making the count 3-0. Balbin entering this game in the middle of the at-bat to Coy Carpenter, the leadoff hitter for McMurray. And that misses high, ball 4. So Carpenter makes his trip to first base, putting 2 runners on for the Warhawks.
And realistically, no harm done in that situation. Already behind 2-0 against one of the top 3 hitters in this Warhawk offense. Don't want to give him anything too good to hit with a runner out there in scoring position already. Just live to see another day.
Runner goes, no throw from Riding. And now runners at the corners with 1 down for McMurray.
Yeah, it seems like Riding was content to keep a runner and Carpenter over at first base, keep a double play ball alive in the infield.
I'll check on Carpenter, who dives back safely. Double play still in order for the Tigers, who are up 10 runs in this game. McMurray, not a bad offensive day themselves. 10 hits, 7 runs, normally enough to get you the win. Not the case today. Trinity, 19 hits, 17 runs. Hit hard into the Tiger bullpen, but foul off the bat of Ty Nelson. Nelson 1 for 2 in today's game. Singled the last time he was up. He's also walked. Pitch misses. It's 1-2.
Yeah, not a bad idea from Balbin right there, trying to hit a spot on the outside portion of the plate.
Grounded to Baker at short. Throws to second for 1, on to first, not in time for 2. So the run scores, makes it 17-8, but they get 1.
And Coach Scannell will come out of the dugout to talk to the field umpire. I think some frustration maybe with the slide at second base, as going in there hard and getting down a little bit late, probably to break up that double play ball, although I don't think it had any real impact. That one got on Jack Baker in a hurry, and he didn't get the cleanest transfer and toss to Colt Harris at second. I think because of that, runner was going to be safe at first no matter what.
Scannell not happy about it, but he'll head back to the dugout. Runner safe at first in Nelson. It brings up Hood. Rips that one deep to center field. Peterson going back towards the warning track and makes the catch to end the inning. A 3-run inning for McMurray, but they still have more work to do. It's 17-8 Trinity as we head to the bottom of the 7th. Bottom of the 7th and a 9-run game. Perez back out there for another inning of work as Brett Jones set to lead things off for the Tigers. Takes ball 1 high. It's unclear whether the run rule will be in effect. Usually that's just for SCAC play, but we'll see if an exception was made today. This being a 9-run game, so potentially the Tigers with an opportunity to walk it off, though that's unclear at this point. Jones ahead 2-0. Takes ball 3.
You know, the fact that pretty much the entire Trinity staff is still out in the bullpen. Usually towards the end of games, they'll make their way to join the rest of the squad in the normal dugout. I feel like that lends me to think we're going to play 9 innings, but again, still unclear. You never really know.
Now 3-1 count. Hit up the middle, and there's hit number 20 on the day for the Tigers, and it belongs to Brett Jones. A 3-hit game for the third baseman.
And multiple hit game for a number of these Trinity hitters. It has been just a tremendous day at the plate. A handful of other guys who will leave with that designation. Peterson and that one-hole Woodward hitting number 2 and 4 hits respectively, and Jack Baker in the bottom of this order. I don't think we'll get another chance to swing it here in this one. He has 3 hits on a perfect day himself.
As Jarrett Phillips into the batter's box. Not somebody who sees a lot of action, but that's going to be a common theme as we progress in this one. Phillips becoming an important part of this Tigers squad just because of the lack of outfielders that this team has right now. Ty Preston and Maddox McDonald both in uniform right now, but not active for today's game. Looks like they're working their way back towards making their returns, potentially this weekend or the next. As Phillips takes a good pitch, but it's ball 3.
A couple of consecutive pitches that looked like they were very, very close to the zone, but great plate discipline for a guy that isn't at the plate very frequently for this Trinity offense.
Inside ball 4, and Phillips works the walk. And now a very important at-bat coming up. It's Matt McNaney making his first plate appearance of the season, and he gets an ovation from the Tiger dugout. McNaney's been the first base coach for a lot of this season because he was in a cast, a broken wrist, before the year got going. This is first action of the year. Comes with nobody out and 2 on. Takes the first pitch outside for ball 1.
Yeah, good to see McNaney back, especially in a catcher's room that relied very heavily on Nick Lazara. Got some help from Matthias Writing, who have obviously come into this one, but imagine they felt the position was maybe a little thin at the outset, relying very heavily on a true freshman, and Writing more than delivered in that role. He's been spectacular defensively, but good to have depth back in McNaney.
Up the middle, a base hit. Jones comes around, he will score. And Matt McNaney's first at-bat of the year is an RBI single.
Yeah, and that proves that we're going to play a full 9 innings here, but how sweet would it have been if in his return to action, Matt McNaney could have been a hero of sorts, at least provided a walk-off, whether it be by run rule or not. I think he'll take that result and maybe take an opportunity to swing it again later in this one if this offense continues to hum.
Hastings waves at that, and it's 0-1. Still nobody out. Runners on first and second. Now 21 hits on the board for the Tigers, counting for 18 runs. That's a pretty good percentage. Hastings, the 9-hole hitter, remaining in the game. Seen sort of a platoon all year at first base from these Trinity Tigers. Brandon Nelson being knocked out due to an injury. Hastings stepping into that role, and of course Diego Gomez as well. Another lefty first baseman that can fill a similar role as Brandon Nelson. Pitch lands for strike 2. Working with McNaney on first and Phillips on second. Grounded foul. Jarrett Phillips waiting on second base. Well, I doubt that in a 10-run game like this, Coach Scannell would send him, but that's usually why Phillips would come into a game, but particularly as a pitch runner. Phillips, a defensive back on the football team as well, very fast, and they love to use that. Hastings takes a ball in the dirt to make it 2-2.
Yeah, but another wrinkle tied back into what you were mentioning previously with McDonald and Preston missing some time. They've been, it seems, reluctant to bring Phillips into games to have him run at the risk that he also gets injured and further deplete that outfield.
Hit really hard and far, but foul. Hastings out ahead of that one.
Yeah, and that was loud off the bat. A real shot. He was turning on that one, just trying to protect and fight something else off. And he fought it off very successfully to keep it at 2-2.
Swing and a miss, that's strike 3. A strikeout for Perez, and there's one down in the inning. And it will bring up Jack Peterson. We see this frequently with Peterson. Coach Scannell reluctant to take him out of games when they have leads. Is one of the best defensive center fielders in the region. So even in an 18-8 game, Scannell leaving his starting center fielder in the game. Swing and a miss, strike 1 from Peterson. Back-to-back singles in his last 2 at-bats. He's 2 for 5 on the day. Takes ball 1 as the sun slipping behind Thomas Hall here at Trinity University. Looks like that's the last we're going to see of it. Lights coming on here at the stadium. Of course, something very interesting happening with the sun yesterday, a total solar eclipse. Not something you see too often. Unfortunately, not something we saw yesterday either due to the intense cloud cover over this area in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, what a bummer. That was still really awesome and cool and epic, and I have a lot of great things to say about it, but I'm still really upset. It was a fascinating thing to watch and observe, and I mean, so many different aspects surrounding it. You know, there were videos coming from the San Antonio Zoo observing animal behavior. There was a dog in the area that I was yesterday, and he was not sure what was happening. I wasn't either entirely. I mean, it was crazy and great, and I think all of that trumps the cloudiness, but man, what could have been?
It's Woodward behind 0-1, make that 0-2 to the foul ball. Yeah, I got to spend the day with my grandparents trying to see the eclipse. We were at a trailer park because they winter down here in Texas, McAllen. They're driving back up to Colorado where they live. They stopped by here to see me. Went to their trailer park. So we're watching the beginning of the eclipse as Woodward rips that to left. And it falls just shy of the warning track over the fence. A ground rule double brings in another run. It's 19-8.
And Cole, last time out on the broadcast, I got really into calculating this staff's ERA that just continued to drop, and the hypotheticals regarding what if they didn't allow 31 earned runs against Wisconsin Whitewater in 2 games of that 4-game series. This week, it's more from an offensive perspective. Output is tremendous. That's another hard hit ball off the bat of Writing, but that one catchable out in center field. It won't be another hit, but 22 on the board is going to do a lot for this squad batting average, and for a guy like Caleb Woodward, who's going to walk out of here now 5 for 6, I think that number is going to skyrocket.
Woodward's RBI ground rule double makes it 19-8 in favor of Trinity. We'll get back to Luke's calculations and my eclipse story when we come back on Tiger Network. Top of the 8th in San Antonio, a pinch hitter in for the Warhawks. It's Tanner Hollis. As he takes ball 1 from Zach Balbin, who remains in the game. Make it ball 2. Hollis, a first year. Now in his 7th game of the season, hitting .222 on the year. Hit hard and foul down the left field line. So now the count 2-1. Luke, when we left the bottom of the 7th, you mentioned you did some calculations. What were those about?
Well, Caleb Woodward came into this game hitting .313 on the season. He had 20 hits to his name. Of course, he's a guy that we talked about previously. Didn't start this year as an everyday staple in the lineup, but he slowly moved into that territory. And over the last really 2 games, but the series at Austin College and here today has just driven that average upwards pretty significantly. .313, now almost .360 on the year. Added 5 hits to what was just a 20-hit total to begin with. 25% increase in that category. Pretty impressive stuff from Caleb Woodward, and just no signs of slowing down anytime soon.
Josh Dyer up to bat with the runner on first due to the leadoff walk. Ball in the dirt, and it's 1-0. Some defensive substitutions for Trinity. Harris remains at second base, but Cam Chapness comes in to replace Jack Baker at short. Pitch away, and it's 2-0. And Jarrett Phillips in right field to replace Max Milligan. Everything else seems to be the same. Swing and a miss, strike 1. But anyways, back to my eclipse story. I was at a trailer park with my grandparents. You know, it's cloudy. We're a little discouraged because we were hoping the clouds would break and we'd be able to see the eclipse as fielded by Jones on the second for 1. They get the lead runner. But then I just hear, "Oh, I see it! I see it!" There's this kid on the other side of the RV. And then we're like, "Oh!" So we run over, look up, and we get to see it. A little break in the clouds. You just see like this faint crescent. So we saw part of the eclipse. We were very fortunate as this is skied, playable in the infield, and the catch made by Hastings for out number 2. But the coolest part about it is I didn't have to use my glasses.
Yeah, and I was about to come back with that. That was like the real risk yesterday, was that you didn't even have the opportunity to use your glasses with all the cloud coverage. Even when it was peeking through, it was like still a little bit veiled, which was nice. But I think everyone in their mothers was quite conscious. I think there were constant reminders about don't look at the eclipse without your glasses on. I know my friends that I was with, they got texts from their mothers. Don't look at the eclipse without your glasses on. So I wanted to be smart and safe and look at the eclipse with my glasses on, but then you couldn't see it. And it was just like, you really had to toe the line there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think my dad's going to love hearing that part of the story.
I mean, I would assume he's hearing it for the first time right now. Not really an opportunity to respond, so that works in your favor to an extent.
Chapman goes back to catch that one as we head to the bottom of the 8th on Tiger Network. 19-8, Trinity up to bat when we come back. Bottom of the 8th in San Antonio as we continue this game. 19-8, the Tigers lead. A new pitcher in for McMurry. It's Chris Teton. Comes in with an ERA of 0, has yet to give up an earned run on the year. He comes into a game where the Tigers' bats are quite hot, historically hot. The most hits in a game for a Trinity team since 2007. It's quite the day for the Tigers. Harris rips that to shallow center, and the catch is made. What a play in center, as it robs Harris of an extra base hit, one away.
Yeah, this is highway robbery out in center field. I think it's still Coy Carpenter out there for McMurray. And I mean, off the bat, I was a little intrigued by the route that he takes. He just works around this baseball, and then the headfirst dive, it worked, and I think that's the most important thing. We'll see a replay of it right here. You can see he comes straight in, almost overrunning it, though. He has to reach back out to his right with his glove, and he hauls it in for out number 1.
Calcone now up to bat. The most hits in a game since they had 26 hits against the University of Mary Hardin-Baylor back in 2017. Scored 24 runs in that game, a little ways away from that here. I think all of us, except for maybe the team themselves, hope that they don't get there. It's 19-8. We can wrap this up. I think we all feel good about that.
But I think you're right. This is the type of affair where the offense is rolling, and I just don't think they would want it to end. It has to feel so good to put together a performance like this.
Coney works a walk. And Brett Jones up again. Singles in his last 3 at-bats. We'll see if he can make it 4 for his last 4. As he takes strike 1, upper edge of the zone. Tigers currently with 22 hits and 19 runs scored. Hit to right, and it falls into the gap. Jones held to first base, so it will be 4 consecutive singles for the third baseman from Colorado.
Yeah, and held to first base is right. Maybe? Because, again, this one is in the gap, and that's keeping Cal Coney really frozen at second base. You see it with the play that was made just a minute ago by Carpenter in center field. I don't blame Coney for holding right where he is, but even then, this one gets down, and somehow Carpenter just picks it off the one hop. Had Coney really taken off and given behind him Alex Monson the opportunity to take off, or I should say Brett Jones to take off, there's a good chance that that's an out at second base. And with the base running that we've seen from Trinity here this evening, it's probably what would have happened.
Ripped to center. Coney being waved around. He's coming in to score, and that is 20 on the board for the Tigers.
Yeah, and just a moment ago we said we're a little bit of ways from that 26 hit, 24 run performance, but we were saying I don't think they're going to want to stop, and clearly they don't.
Still swinging the bat, now up 12. 24 hits, approaching that mark from 2017 with 26 hits. As now pinch hitter Cam Champness, who came in for Jack Baker defensively. Champness working with runners on first and second. Pitch away. You know, I think, Luke, this is one of those situations. We've seen the Tigers that there's been some close losses here and there. You just, like, allocate runs to different places. Like, you take some runs from this game, up 12, and then you move them to some of these other games. I don't think the Whitewater games could help. I think those are nope. Those are losses.
Those are probably out the door.
That's okay. That happens sometimes. Like the Shriner game, right? Just sprinkle one of these runs in there.
Yeah, literally in that game, you get a quarter of the output that they've had today, and you win it. And of course, that's maybe an over-application, oversimplification. You imagine Shriner responds to some extent, but like this is a huge output.
Lined and caught, play at the plate in time. So a double play turned by Nelson at second, and it ends the inning. It sends us to the top of the ninth, 20-8. Trinity when we come back. Sun setting in South Texas as you see the gorgeous sky. Trinity up 20-8 as a new pitcher in for the Tigers. It's the closer, Will Hellings, coming into the game. And Luke, you said it during the break, they want to go home.
Yeah, not so much a closer-like scenario here in a 12-run ball game. But we've also alluded, McMurry has had a very impressive day offensively. 8 runs on 11 hits is nothing to scoff at. And I think right now Trinity would like to go home, just shut the door, and end things as they currently stand at 20-8.
Hit in the air to center. Peterson takes a few steps, but nothing more, and reels in out number 1.
But right after we took that final break of the evening, we took an opportunity just to reflect back on this one and remember that there were a couple of hard-hit baseballs that were robbed in this game. 24 hits on the board for Trinity, and there very easily could have been a couple more. A couple of balls hit to Nelson at second base, and obviously in the last half inning, a ball hit to Carpenter in center that he laid out for.
Grounded to second, Harris is there, and there's 2 away. So Hellings working through this pretty quickly. First 2 batters down in order so far, and McMurray down to their final out. It'll be Coy Carpenter. Tigers dominating offensively, as Hellings will try and put it away, misses with ball 1. In the dirt, 2-0. Swing and a miss, that's strike 1.
And it's perhaps a little less relevant in a 12-run ball game. Will Hellings is the type of guy that comes in and throws so hard that if an opposing hitter puts a barrel on the baseball, it's going to go a long way. Kind of like what we saw with Ian Swafford earlier, but with such a cushion, it's not that much of a concern right now. And in this at-bat, he's just kind of blowing it past him.
Pitch misses away, brings the count full. I'm wondering what would happen in a Will Hellings-Josh Dyer matchup. Like, how far could Josh Dyer hit that baseball if he's facing Will Hellings? 3-2 pitch. Grounded to first. Flip to Hellings, and that's the ball game. The Tigers win 20-8. A historic offensive performance, 24 hits and 20 runs.
Yeah, and I mean, that's pretty much it. Not much more needs to be said about this performance. And one thing I was thinking about late, you talked about your conversation with Coach Scannell and not relying heavily on home runs. That's the truth here. 24 hits, 20 runs. This is a catalyst. This is something that if this team really gets hot and starts to put things together, especially on the offensive side of things, you're going to look back and you're going to point to this game. This pitching staff has been great, and they were, again, very good. McMurray took advantage of some mistakes. They put up 8 runs, but only 5 of those were earned in a full 9-inning game. I think you'll live with that when you put up 20.
This is the last out-of-conference game for McMurray. They'll head into ASC play next weekend as they face Latorno. And then it's the University of Concordia. And then finishing off the year with Hardin-Simmons in the battle for Abilene in the ASC. Trinity, on the other hand, will face their rivals TLU from Seguin. They'll play here in San Antonio. We hope that you tune in for that one. Friday night, game 1 of that 3-game set. An important one in the SCAC. Both teams battling for SCAC tournament positioning. I'd like to thank everybody who helped out with this broadcast, everyone in the control room, and everyone working on the cameras, of course, my partner Luke Terry as well. For everyone here in San Antonio, I'm Cole Isaacson saying so long from Trinity University. We hope to see you again this weekend.